Hey, we're back. This is Pod and Deliver. I'm here with my brother. And you know what? Today we have a special guest by the name of David Dorf. I've known David. I'm not sure if David realizes this, but he's one of my oldest friends, like 45 years, David. I'm not sure if you know that. But you know, David has a lot of hats he wears. He's not only a dad and a husband, but he's also a coach. And we'll be talking about that today, actually. And he's also a teacher, middle school, believe it or not. And so, David.
And he wears an SRLA hat.
SRLA stands for, David?
Students Run Los Angeles.
Great. I can't wait for us to talk about that in a minute. And I've been associated with it a little bit, but you have taken it to another degree, and you have really made these kids feel, I know, special and that they can accomplish something. But before we go into that, Dave, I know you, but I don't think our audience knows you that well regarding just even sports in general, even being in athletics. How do you feel like that has affected you as a person? How has it, even that experience, even for today, how's that affected you in your daily life?
I think it definitely leads me into helping being a better coach, a mentor, and a teacher. I started playing at Cabina National Little League, as you guys both did, at 8 years old. And apparently my mother told me I was crying like a little baby. I didn't want to go, but she made me go. And it was probably the best decision of her life to take me there. So playing baseball there, and then also I got a chance in high school to play football. And I think growing up, even with my own kids, I think when you are playing sports, it teaches, social skills, which is probably the primary aspect of sports. It teaches structure and discipline and routine. And I know when I was a teacher, well, I'm still a teacher, but when I was coaching and also in my teaching class, when I would go out on the field with my, softball players for my daughter or the baseball players for my son, I wrote out the schedule, what we did for every 20 minutes they were doing something. So I think that structure kind of led to, my teaching ability, and I do the same thing in teaching.
Well, I guess I was going to ask you that because I've seen your notes on Instagram where you have a note to your runners saying, hey, this is where we're going to be at. This is what you eat. This is what we're going to run. And now I'm thinking that's what you probably do in your classroom, right? You have a little agenda and all the things that you have to accomplish.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I do that in my class. And I think what you do when you're younger and stuff, I think totally it transpires when you get older. So yeah, what the coaches did for me when I was younger, I'm doing that now for, the players and my students as well.
Hold on. You send messages to your players through Instagram?
Yes. Okay.
Do you also do it as a teacher, or is it just you limit it to your coaching?
For, so to communicate with the students, I decided maybe like 3 years ago with the help of my son, because I wasn't on Instagram. He set it up for me, and I kind of ran it. So it's actually, Madrid_SRLA. And it's really, I've posted pictures from the last 6 years after a practice, after a run. There's parents on there. There's like almost 400 people that are on there. Typically, former SRLA participants are on there. And that's definitely a way to share information, especially like a couple days before, I'm going to remind the students to eat well, drink plenty of water, electrolytes, and that kind of stuff. So for me, the platform, Instagram, was a huge thing, mainly for the SRLA group.
I see. No, I think that's a smart move to just any way you can communicate to your kids, your students, and you pick a platform that they're comfortable with, because if you pick, I think even Facebook is becoming outdated. And so you pick one where kids can connect it, either it's a student or if it's a runner. What a smart move. Dave, tell us a little bit about how you got involved with Students Run LA, and how did that come about, and why did you do that?
Yeah, that's, it's interesting because I never thought in my life that, a marathon, 26.2 miles, there's no way in the world I could ever do that. And so after, it actually started at our school in 2004. A couple teachers brought it in, so it's almost been, 17 years that we had it. So after the race was over, the next day the students would come to school and they would have a sweatshirt on, and it would say, marathon finisher 2012. And I go, man, I would love to have that one day. Just have that sweatshirt,
Yeah, just a sweatshirt. I don't want to run. No.
I could brag about it. I could boast about it. But I'm like, man, those kids here's the thing, they're 13 and 14.
Jeez.
And they're running it. And I'm at the time when I first started, I was 47. I'm like, man, if they can do it,
yeah,
why can't I? So then I started talking to, one of the leaders at the time, one of the coaches, and she's like, yeah, we need people. Can you come and help? I said, perfect. So I kind of, she guided me through the following year, and I kind of watched her routine and all that. And she actually got sick, and she got cancer, and she passed away.
Oh, geez.
Like my second year into it. So from that point, they needed somebody to kind of take over and be the leader. So I said, man, this program is great for all the kids. So I said, okay, I'll take over. But the main thing was watching the kids come to school the next day with their sweatshirts on. It says marathon finisher.
Wow. And how many have you done now, marathons?
This is my 6th year. I completed. I've done the last 5 LA marathons.
Amazing. Very
So
cool.
this year will be number 6. This is the 32nd year for the students run LA SRLA program. It's a fantastic program. So I think from the aspect of getting started, when I would see those kids at school, that's what, man, I got to do that. I want a sweatshirt.
Now you probably have a lot of sweatshirts.
I do. I keep them all in my closet. I got 5 hanging up.
I bet.
Have you seen the result? Because you mentioned earlier about how it builds confidence in general, team sports, and participating in that. Have you seen examples of that in the students where you see them in the sense that you see them prior, and maybe they have a particular personality that's shy, and that's a very interesting age. Middle school is a lot of self-image issues, and then you see them go through sports and see a transformation.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably like my 2nd year there was a student, a young girl who was very shy, never talked in class. She was actually in my class, very, her social skills were a little bit kind of inept. And so she just kind of kept to herself. And she was missing practices. So, I was talking to, Mercy Chavez at the time that was running it, but she's like, let's keep her. And we kept her. And I saw her the last 6 miles of the marathon, and her and I finished the marathon together. But for her transformation from being shy, it boosted her confidence. She was more outgoing. Her grades were better. Definitely, all those things kind of contribute to that.
Do they ever come back years later and just say thank you, or hey, you know what, this has really changed my life, or anything like that?
Yeah, they do, because we practice at Leg Lake out in South El Monte at Whittier and Narrows, and we were at actually practice yesterday, and there was a kid who ran 2 years ago, and he came out yesterday and ran 16 miles. It was crazy, right? And there's kids that come out. Yeah, we have kids that are in college now, and they come out and they're doing well in college. They talk about how SRLA's really changed their life, because really the motto for SRLA is, in the beginning when it started 32 years ago, the mission was, if you can run a marathon, you can complete high school. But then that kind of changed after a while. If you can complete a marathon, you can do anything in life.
Wow.
And they see that, and I see that. I'm like, man, if I could do a marathon, I could, I could run for mayor of Placentia.
I think, what's a percent? I think it's a small percentage of people have run a marathon. I want to say it's 2%. It's a really small percentage, and you're part of that. So just even saying that, Dave, because you're sharing about your kids. How about right now, though, during this pandemic, has it changed the way you guys do things? Has it changed any of that? Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just go back to your first question about the percent. So I actually wanted to look it up, because I was kind of curious. How many people run a marathon in the United States?
Right.
It was 0.5%. So a 0.5%.
What?
So 99.5% of the people in the United States have never run a marathon. And I tell the students, man, you're in a small group of people that have done something that, 99% of the people haven't done.
Now, David, I've always avoided marathons because I have this thing about wanting to live. But in seriousness though, but wouldn't you say that some people are not ready and maybe they can just participate and build up to it?
Yeah, so typically for our program, it's about a 6-month program that we start typically in September. And when the kids first come out, they're going to run like a mile and then a mile and a half, and we kind of build up. So we start training usually late August. The first race is late September, which is a 5K, which is about 3.1 miles, and that's been at Dodger Stadium the last couple of years. So the kids get to go there, run around Dodger Stadium. It's a progress, like a process, but the kids are like, man, I never thought I could run 6 miles. I never thought I could run 15. So I think that's the mentality out there, that, man, I can't do it. But I think once you go through that training for those 6 months, and you're eating better and you're stretching and, taking some electrolytes, I think once you do that, I think they go, I can do it.
Right. You're ready to do it. Yeah, that was my experience as well. Yeah. Hey, but I can't do it right now, but someday I'm going to do my 5th marathon. No.
I thought you could just get out there and do it, Jake.
No, I can't do that.
I've seen some videos on like YouTube that people like, oh, I haven't trained, I'm going to run a marathon. And some people can, but yeah, most people can't.
I once did it with a bunch of people who did not train. They were hating life. And a couple of them didn't even finish because it's like you said, it's not a typical thing that you just could go out and do it without training. No training is not very smart to do anything, especially a marathon. But going back to that last question, David, regarding what's going on now with your kids, how are they doing? Tell me how they're doing, and also how they're doing with these new protocols that I'm sure you guys have with your running.
Yeah, it's totally different. So typically for SRLA, they usually have about 3,500 student runners and coaches. They're down to about 65% this year because of the COVID. It's changed a lot. When the school started, we were teaching virtual as we are now. I had to, through like Zoom and social media, we're going to meet and have you guys sign up. The last 2 years at our school, I've had 70 students sign up in the beginning. This year, only 13 students signed up.
Wow. David, you're touching on something that's really bothered me about COVID, the COVID protocols, because to me, one of the biggest mistakes leaders have made. I don't want to get political. That's not my point here, but I think everybody can agree. Nobody's talked about health and exercise. It's just been about staying indoors, wearing the mask. But my students haven't been hearing about taking walks at least, or getting out there and exercising, pushing yourself. Do you find that as well?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because we always have a conference every year with an expert from UCLA. He's a doctor, and he comes out and he talks to SRLA the last 3 or 4 years, and he was saying, this year he encourages people to go outside. And he was talking about running. So he encouraged people to wear a mask when you're running and you're not around people. They said, you can take the mask down, but once you get next to people, pull that mask up. Okay. So they did kind of, encourage us to do that and be outside compared to being inside. They didn't want us to be inside with the students at all because of the COVID. But yeah, I think those restrictions that people were hearing about, like a lot of people, heard certain things, but yeah, I think that kind of took a hit for us in SRLA.
Yeah. I think it's so great for the kids, because I've come around, I've been actually talking to a lot of students recently regarding their mental health. And I feel like because they're not exercising and doing things like they did in the past, playing soccer, I was glad to hear that a lot of those districts are now opening up some of their sports, because the kids are just so excited about doing that, just to get out there. I'm sure like with your group, they're like excited to be, even the little socializing, I'm sure has been amazing for them, right?
Yeah, they love being out there. And when we met in September, we were still waiting to get the go-ahead to meet with the kids. And so we finally got the go-ahead in like early October. So our first practice was, I think, in the middle of October. And we met every Saturday at Lake, and the kids just love being out there.
That's great. How do you feel about like looking at what you've done with Students Around LA. How has it like helped you in the classroom, you think? I mean, you mentioned a little bit in the beginning, but now after all these years, what do you think has been the best thing you've learned from Students Around LA to even assist you with your teaching? Or maybe it hasn't, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, yeah, I think, just to kind of go back a little bit, I think for me, it really built, my confidence up as a former athlete and a current athlete, more confidence in the classroom. Just for me, I think it helped me out just to see, man, I can do this. I can do maybe a little bit more in the classroom. Because I think when you go and kind of see, that, you can run a marathon, why, you can really do kind of anything you want in life. And then I think that, even the details of working out, every week or every Saturday, you take that into your life and in the classroom. And I think that just kind of, translates over.
Yeah. By the way, David, I could tell you're an effective coach because I'm wanting to go out there and run. And I hate running.
I know. I'm like,
you're inspiring. So, what would you say? Oh, by the way, what subject do you teach?
I teach 8th grade history, and I have one 7th grade history class this year.
We talk about, the world really in the framework or the lens of teaching, but we like to ask this question: who is your mentor or favorite teacher, or you could even talk about favorite coach growing up, and what made them great?
You know what? There's been definitely a few people. I always go back and I think about my 6th grade teacher at Workman Elementary, Mr. Halbeth.
Yeah. He was great.
For some reason, he stuck out. And then after I even left that school, I would actually go back and visit him. I think it was probably his approach with the students.
No nonsense, right?
Yeah, he was. I mean, he was very structured, no nonsense. But maybe at least for me, I'm kind of like, okay, he was flexible, but then he had certain things he wanted you to do, and I always remember him. And then Coach Brown, he was a football coach and history teacher at Covina High School. Rick Brown.
Yes.
So it was interesting because when I was playing football, he was my history teacher.
I forgot that. That's true. You did teach history. I forgot about that.
So I'm teaching history. I guess anybody can teach history. That's why I'm teaching history.
Hey, I teach history, you little. Wow. Hey. No. You know what? You said Rick Brown. I'm not sure why you thought. I mean, wasn't he a positive person? I mean, he just seemed. We didn't have a How week. We had Heaven week.
Yeah. It was interesting because I remember we even. Because we would, he was always very positive. He never really, he didn't yell at the kid, or he didn't yell at the kids or the people that were practicing. And I see that for me today because in the classroom, I might raise my voice. I don't yell at the kids. And I had a question for them last week. I said, what's the difference from a good teacher and a bad teacher? And they always brought up a bad teacher yells at you all the time. Wow. And I think they get that a lot. So I think from that point, I kind of learned from that, try to, have that certain kill, be structured and be fair. And even if they get in trouble, I would usually take them outside and I wouldn't, yell at them or, berate them. I would just kind of talk to them. And I think they kind of, respect that and they'll kind of open up to you.
I really like that you asked them that question. Mm-hmm. We forget the insight that a student can bring, even as young as of course middle school. And I've read where as young as fourth grade students can determine the stronger teachers from the weaker ones. So it's good to take a little temperature check every once in a while of your kids and survey them.
Oh yeah.
I think, I think as a teacher, we always we're complacent and we have our certain routines, which is fine. But I think you always have to get feedback once in a while from the kids, ask them what they liked about the class, what they don't like about that class, even though you might go, man, maybe they won't like me, but I think it's going to make you a better individual, a better leader, mentor, and teacher. So I think you have to get out of your comfort zone and do that.
Well, Dave, thanks a lot. As we're winding down, I did want to ask you a question, and I'm glad I wrote this down because I would have forgotten, and that is the LA Marathon. We've talked about it already. It's happening, correct? And then if it is happening, when is that happening? Because I would think it's happening any time now. Am I correct or am I wrong?
Technically, it would have happened the 24th of this month.
Oh, wow.
But because of COVID, so in January, we got information from ASICS, because that's who's running the marathon. And they pushed it back to, okay, we're going to do the marathon in May.
Oh, wow.
And then it was getting closer and closer. And then they said, no, we can't do it in May. We're going to do it in the fall. But they're supposed to do it sometime in September, I heard. I know it's the fall, but I heard September. But SRLA this year is just doing it on their own. Each group is running their own.
Okay.
I mean, a culminating event is what they're calling it.
Oh, well, I'm glad you guys are at least doing that, because the kids are been training, right? I mean, they're ready to do it. Wow.
Yeah, they ran 21 miles yesterday, and that's their longest race before the marathon. So in 2 weeks from yesterday, March 20th, yeah, we're going to have people coming out from the district and the teachers, and
cool.
we're going to have some food and stuff for them afterwards. So we only have 6 kids that are out there this year. I wish we had more, but kind of COVID and all that.
Sure,
that's just how it is. But I give them a lot of credit, and I tell them I give their parents, because even though the students have to be dedicated, the parents have to also be dedicated. They're driving them out there.
Yeah.
They're picking them up. They're supportive of that. So.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I guess you have to have this. You have to have all these people supporting it: the parents, the teachers, administrators, the other coaches. So you got to have all this happening. Yeah, I can imagine. Well, thanks for being a coach of these kids, Dave. Thanks for coming here with us. We really hope we could grab you again to talk about middle school, because somebody who, I don't know anybody. I'm not sure if I know anybody who taught 26 years in middle school. I taught for 4 years and no more. I remember that old fighter that said no mas when he threw his hands up in the ring. Remember that fight?
Well, I became a teacher because kind of like you brought me over to SEA.
Oh, that's right. We're gonna talk. That's what we should do. Next time we come back, we'll talk about SEA.
He wants to apologize for that.
I want to apologize for getting you into education. No, I think you were always going to do it. It just happened that how the stars align, right?
But David, after SEA, everything's easy, right?
Yeah, man. Oh, I have some crazy stories from there.
Oh, we all have some crazy ones. So next time we'll get together. We'll
just talk about SEA.
We'll just talk about SEA. Yeah. We should do that. Maybe bring somebody else from SEA into as well.
Absolutely.
But again, thanks a lot, and we wish you luck on the next run, and we'll talk to you really soon, all right?
Bye, Dave.
Bye-bye.